such a free.
Freedom is just another word for nothing left to lose. Come together right now over me.
Hey there, it's Lars Larson. Right now, you're listening to Nevada Matters.
Thank you for that, Lars Larson. Let me tell you what, I have never been so excited in my entire life. I've met a lot of people in my entire life, but someone with the credibility that this gentleman has, I am honored that he has a show with America Matters Media. Remember that we are live on 1180 AM KCKQ, a Lotus broadcaster radio station heard throughout northern Nevada and Northern California, all of Lake Tahoe, Truckee, all the way to Portola and almost to Susanville. We are heard to Carson City, you name it. Plus, you tell your family members, friends, and associates that they can tune into americamatters.us anywhere in the world and click on the Listen Live button right now. That's americamatters.us. Plus, I want you to know that tomorrow morning at 4:30 a.m., the recorded version of the Senator Omer Raines show. That's right, the Senator Omer Raines show will air recorded tomorrow at 4:30 a.m. in the morning. Without further ado, I am going to turn you over to the creator, to the host of the Senator Omer Raines show, Senator Omer Raines.
Thank you, Eddie. Good afternoon, folks. I'm Omer Raines, welcoming you to American Matters Media, broadcasting this program to the world not only in English, but by way of translation in various other languages as well. The programs are being broadcast live on air, as Eddie said, in the United States and worldwide via terrestrial radio, internet streaming, and various social media applications. Now, this weekly program, by choice, my choice, is intended to be eclectic in nature. It will not focus solely on one topic or subject matter. However, the guest in whatever field and whatever the point of view will be interesting and well-informed. That I promise. Nevertheless, whatever the topic and whomever the guest, we encourage diverse points of view. We also welcome comments or questions from the listening audience. The call-in number is 844-790-8255. And the text number in the event you want to text is 775-237-2266. With that in mind, I want to introduce you to today's guest. Our guest today is Frederick Marx, who for over 2 decades has been considered one of the true greats in American and international filmmaking. The movies made by his company, Warrior Films, are acknowledged as productions that have helped to transform the world. Frederick first came to my personal attention over 20 years ago when I watched a documentary movie called Hoop Dreams, a movie shot over a 5-year period. That film was not only a winner at the Sundance Film Festival, but was named the best film of the year by the late Roger Ebert, by Gene Siskel, Gene Shalit, Ken Turan, and by multiple others. Ebert went further and called it the best film of the entire decade, and the International Documentary Association has named it the best documentary film ever made.
Unbelievable.
That movie was inspired by Frederick's lifelong passion to help inspire the youth of our country and of the world. The movie that followed included Boys of Men, Rites of Passage, which led to the Rites of Passage social movement, and one of particular importance to me, because of my work in Tibet, Nepal, Bhutan, and northern India, is Journey to Zanskar, featuring the Dalai Lama with narration by Richard Gere, a film that movingly illustrates the sacrifices made by Tibetan refugee families now living in the Indian Himalayas, who must part with their young children so that they might be given a chance to gain an education in a Tibetan monastery, even though this places their children at great risk by having them cross some of the highest mountains in the world. As the movie illustrates, this is generally the only way that their young children can acquire literacy and learn of the rich heritage of Tibetan Buddhism. Frederick's latest movie, Veterans Journey Home, demonstrates the difficulties and ordeals experienced by our veterans as they leave parts of the war-torn world and attempt to reintegrate into a society that has become foreign to them. I could go on, but before I consume all of his time, suffice it to say that the awards received by Frederick are absolutely mind-boggling. A Guggenheim Fellow, Artist of the Year awards from numerous entities, the recipient of the Robert Kennedy Special Achievement Award, numerous PBS specials, the Prix Italia Award, Europe's top documentary prize, Peabody Awards, the National Society of Film Critics Award, Oscar and Emmy nominations for both production and direction, and this type of much-deserved recognition just keeps on coming,
Wow.
and deservedly so. So, Frederick, a longtime friend of whom I stand in awe, what led you to do the work you do, primarily by way of helping those most in need, especially children, and the vast majority of it, I believe, still being done on a nonprofit basis?
Well, first of all, thank you, Omer. I'm not sure I recognize that guy that you just introduced, but he sounds great.
he sounds like a wonderful, wonderful individual, and I think we're speaking with him right now.
Well, anyway, yeah, to the matter at hand, my company is a nonprofit company. It's called Warrior Films, and our mission is very simple. Through filmmaking and teaching, Warrior Films bears witness to social realities, inspiring citizens worldwide to create needed social change. So, it's really a kind of a culmination of two main streams of my life, really, my love and passion for filmmaking and my interest in changing the world for the better. So, we have a couple different themes, really, that we follow in some of the films that we make. You certainly put your finger on two of the main ones. One is certainly rites of passage and mentorship. It's been my conviction for really ever since Hoop Dreams came out about 20 years ago that we really need to reinvigorate in our culture practices of healthy rites of passage to help adolescents transition successfully and meaningfully into young adulthood. And, many of your listeners, since you have so many listeners around the world, they may understand this issue because they may still have intact practices of this nature where, people in their village or their town mentor young people and then look out for their successful transition to make sure that they understand what the rights and responsibilities are of adulthood, as well as helping them understand what their unique gifts are, what they might be here to contribute to the planet as unique and wonderful individuals. So anyway, so that's been, certainly one stream of the work that we've done, and that actually does continue in the film that you mentioned that we're working on now called Veterans Journey Home, because it's actually an outgrowth of my rites of passage work where I understand that combat veterans really need, in a sense, they're in the middle of a rite of passage by virtue of their service to their country, by virtue of the extreme experiences that they've been exposed to overseas, so that when they come home and they're largely left to their own devices, their passage isn't complete. So what we need to do as communities, as citizens who are aware of the needs of our veterans, is to come together and to hold them in a way that they can basically begin to unfold and unpack the experiences that they've had, many of which, of course, are traumatic for them and show up with cases of PTSD. But even those that don't, those that are sometimes called moral injury, the unconscionable decisions, in effect, that our young men and women have been forced to make by virtue of the situations they've found themselves in overseas, where
Wow.
their consciences are deeply stricken. So we need to help them to transition effectively, in a sense, to carry the burden with them that they come home with. So that, too, is really a rite of passage, and that film that we're just starting now is called Veterans Journey Home.
Well, that's just great. Well, listen, Frederick, by virtue of our common membership in Social Venture Network, I happen to know that you have for all your life had a heightened sense of corporate and social responsibility as well as environmental awareness. I do want to go back we'll take a short break, but after we come back, I want you to talk about a 5-year experience in filming Hoops of Dreams.
Wow. Because
that took infinite patience as well as skill, and why that was acknowledged as such a great film, and deservedly so.
And you better believe it. Listeners, please come join us. We're at the Reno Town Mall directly across from the Reno Sparks Convention Center. Text in to our chief engineer right now, 775-237-2266, or give us a call and speak with Senator Omer Raines or his very special guest at 844-790-8255.
Talking to Victor from Precision Diamonds. Victor, I remember you in the old days, Park Lane Mall, a kiosk. It's a lot different now, isn't it?
Man, that was a long time ago. In 1988, we've been blessed that we've been guided, and finally we have bought an amazing building across the street from the convention center. We found a better way to serve you. You know, we call it home. We managed to create amazing energy. And when we say, welcome to the family, boy, we really mean it.
It is a family affair.
Absolutely. And we couldn't have done it without our wonderful customers who believed in us for all of 27 years. So I'm here to really say thanks to all of our wonderful family members who we started as customers, who now we know each other's children's and grandchildren.
All those years ago, a little kiosk in Park Lane Mall. Park Lane Mall's not there anymore, but you are still here.
Yeah, we have solidified our future by buying this beautiful building on Virginia Street. So we're there to serve you.
Thank you, Victor. Precision Diamonds, your local jeweler across from the convention center.
BusinessPowerNet.com is the leader in digital advertising and driving customers to your business. By using their exclusive Buy Local text and Buy Local email clubs, they'll put you in front of thousands of potential customers. Don't you want to be where your customers' eyes are looking? With BusinessPowerNet.com, it doesn't matter what device they use, desktop, laptop, tablet, or smartphone. When you think of Buy Local and free to nearly free advertising, think BusinessPowerNet.com. BusinessPowerNet.com uses the latest advancements in digital marketing technology to stay connected with your customer community. This includes a combination of text, email, online magazines, e-newsletters, and more. BusinessPowerNet.com is your best partner for free to nearly free local advertising. Visit BusinessPowerNet.com.
Hi, I'm Steve Finlayson, founder and CEO of BusinessPowerNet.com. Most people want to support their local business community, and taking Buy Local to the next level is easy and affordable. Let us show you how. Give us a call on our toll-free number, 1-800-232-1971. That's 1-800-232-1971, or visit our website, BusinessPowerNet.com.
Everyone's invited to come out to Idlewild Park along the river for Freedom Run on Saturday, July 2nd. The Freedom Run is an annual fundraiser to support veterans programs at the local nonprofit behavioral health care agency, the Ridge House. PTSD and other mental diseases have been linked to substance abuse as a means of self-medication, domestic violence, and other criminal activity. The Freedom Run raises awareness and funding for the veterans' recovery and reentry programs. Last year, we had 200 entrants participating in 3 distances as they rocked with the band Beatles Flashback. This year, it's the same 3 distances, a 10K, a 5K, and a 1-mile fun run, and the band will be back. We're excited to invite you to start your Independence Day weekend right. To register to run, go to thedriven.net or call 322-8941 to help support our vets at the 3rd Annual Freedom Run. That's thedriven.net or call 322-8941.
Hey, welcome back to the Senator Omer Raines talk show. You're going to be excited to never miss one of his shows. They come on every Wednesday at 4:30 live, 4:30 p.m. live every Wednesday, and then tomorrow morning at 4:30 a.m. the recorded version of this show. In case you miss any portion of it, you can tell your family members, friends, or associates to go to americamatters.us and listen to it tomorrow morning at 4:30 a.m. or the podcast can be listened to at any time within just a matter of moments at the end of this show. And now let's get back to the creator, to the host of Senator Omer Raines' show, the senator himself, Omer Raines.
Thank you again, Eddie. Frederick, so many, probably millions of people have seen Hoop Dreams because it is one of the great movies of all time, whether documentary or not. But tell me, for those who didn't see it, why did it take 5 years to film?
Well, I'll be happy to answer that for you, Omer. But, just to continue a thought that I had earlier, I want to explain briefly to folks why our company is called Warrior Film. And this is a quote that I found from Sitting Bull. Warriors are not what you think of as warriors. The warrior is not someone who fights because no one has the right to take another life. The warrior is one who sacrifices himself for the good of others. His task is to take care of the elderly, the defenseless, those who cannot provide for themselves, and above all, the children, the future of humanity.
Wow.
Well, boy,
So that's
powerful.
something that we actually use as kind of a watchword for our work in our nonprofit company, Warrior Film.
And that's emblematic of the work you do, no doubt about it.
Yeah, well, thank you. And it also it points to, in a sense, a second theme of our work, which is, the support of the work of indigenous people around the planet. And you mentioned the film we did called Journey from Zanskar, which I can speak to later if you want. So now to address your Hoop Dreams question, it took 5 years, partly because we didn't have the money to finish the film.
I know that's not the main reason.
Well, we basically, once we started filming these stories, we found them so compelling. And we actually didn't know, I'll just say we had a different idea for what the
Frederick,
product.
tell the audience what that story is. The two
Okay, well,
youths.
Hoop Dreams is basically a story about two young African-American boys and their families from inner city Chicago. Both of those boys had the dream of being NBA stars, and we were very interested to see how that dream plays itself out over time. So we followed these two boys from the time that they finished grammar school and entered high school, all the way through high school, and then into their first steps beyond high school. So that meant college and university for both of them. So we filmed for about 4.5 years, and it actually took about 2.5 years to edit the film. So that's it. We wanted to have a kind of a longitudinal study, if you will, to see exactly how does this dream play out that so many millions of boys and girls have of playing professional basketball.
Did either make it to the NBA?
Neither one made it.
But because of your help,
one of them
what
has
happened
some
to
kids
them?
who I think is hoping they will.
One, as I recall, became a pastor.
Well, exactly. William Gates. Yeah,
Yes.
He became a pastor at his old community church in Cabrini Green, Chicago. He's since moved his family to outside of San Antonio, Texas. And partly, I believe it's actually to get his kids into what he sees as a better basketball program, a better high school that can actually help their chances go forward.
Is my recollection correct that many of the relatives of these young lads were gunned down in Chicago, killed by gunfire?
Well, yes, it's true. It's the sad truth, and it's, of course, a sad reality for so many African-American urban dwellers. But yes, William Gates' older brother, Curtis Gates, who was kind of his mentor as well as his, sort of beloved friend and guide in the film of Hoop Dreams, was gunned down and killed on the south side of Chicago.
Wow.
I guess it's now almost 15 years ago. And then Arthur Agee, the other young man, his father, was gunned down and killed in the back of their house, in their garage, in the alley there. So it's just a heartbreaking but sadly almost inescapable reality of what these young men and their families face.
So they came out of just an unworldly environment and yet ended up being responsible citizens.
Yeah, no question. Well, I think it's obviously an issue about opportunity. And, the point that we wanted to make, in a sense, with Hoop Dreams was there's nothing wrong with kids being given opportunities like scholarships to go to private Catholic schools, like both of them were in that film. What's just really sad is that there's not other opportunities like that for other kids. There's not science scholarships. There's not chess scholarships. There's not all of these other things and skills that kids have, they're not given those similar kinds of opportunities. So it's heartbreaking. So it's not a surprise why so many kids pin their hope on that. It's not even 1 in a million. It's more like 1 in 10 million chance of making it from high school basketball into the NBA.
Wow.
Yes. Well, right along the same path of your great films, what caused you to go to the Himalayas to film Journey to Zanskar?
Well, actually, it's Journey from Zanskar.
Oh, I apologize.
Yeah, no worries.
My recollection, I actually saw a preview. You may not remember this, but I was honored to have a preview showing of it before it was released to film theaters. But so I was going from memory.
Yeah, I think we showed it at the Social Ventures Network.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, I got a call from 2 friends of mine who knew that not only that I was, a well-regarded documentarian, but unlike most people, they were close enough to me to know that I'd been a practicing Buddhist for many years. And so they thought I would really be drawn to this subject matter, and they were absolutely right. So the original idea for the film was actually somewhat different than the end product, which happens often in my work somehow. But at any rate, the Dalai Lama's youngest brother, Tenzin Chogyal, who goes by the acronym TC, was scheduled to visit the 7 sacred monasteries of Zanskar. And Zanskar is this remote corner of northwest India. It's right squeezed between the Tibet border and the Pakistan border, near the very volatile region of Kashmir. And historically, it was part of Tibet. But when the British left India in 1948 and they drew the modern nation-state border around India, suddenly these folks found themselves in the state of India, which they'd always considered a foreign country prior to that. So this is very high Himalayan country. We're talking about the Zanskar Valley floor is 12,000 feet high.
Wow.
So the mountains that go up surrounding it seal the valley in for 7 months of the year. And it's inaccessible by road for those 6 or 7 months because of all of the snowpack. So at any rate, he was scheduled, TC was, to make a trip of these monasteries there. So we showed up with our crew and our equipment in India. Long story short, he canceled the trip, and we found ourselves without a story. And then I heard, by doing research, that these 2 monks who became our stars of this film, had it in mind to take 17 very young, very poor children from the remote villages in Zanskar to schools and monasteries in lower India in order, ironically, to get them a Tibetan education, because in their home schools, funded by the federal government of India, they don't teach the Tibetan language. They don't teach the Tibetan culture and history. So this whole culture is dying. And it's just heartbreaking, really, because Zanskar is one of the few remaining places on the planet where the Tibetan culture is surviving, because, as we well know, the Chinese dominance in in Tibet itself is is really eliminating traditional Tibetan culture. So at any rate, that's what our story is. So we went on this trip with these 2 monks and these 17 children and 10 fathers and 1 mother, and we tried to walk over a 17,500-foot path to get them into these schools and monasteries in lower India, and that's the story.
And it's a powerful story, a very moving story. These are young kids, 4 or 5 years of age, 6 years of age?
Exactly. The youngest are 4, feet. And the eldest is 12.
Unbelievable.
Really?
Unbelievable. Now, Senator Raines, with your permission, we don't want to run out of time. Everyone is looking. I've never seen such a meltdown coming in the way of emails and text regarding the brand new Senator Omer Raines talk show, and your very special first inaugural guest certainly has laid away the entire public. And when I say the entire public, we're heard around the world right now. So I personally want to thank you. Let's allow him to give his contact information, and then, Senator, if you would be kind enough, you do the same.
Yes, I do. Before we sign off, Frederick, I want you to provide information about how any listener can get hold of you.
Well, thank you. It's very easy to find us. You can find us at warriorfilms.org. So that's warrior, WARRIORFILMS.org. And we're reachable around the world. And you can see a lot of the films that we give away through our website.
Beautiful.
So that's really the best way to reach us.